Hello, welcome back. Mike from Canavan Wealth. I don't know what order these videos will come out, but I did a recent video about factfulness in which there was a particularly good idea in that about questioning yourself. And I thought it tied into a topic that I wanted to talk a lot about in a future video anyways. So I'm kind of combining them. So that the question from factfulness is about you owe it to yourself that if you have, an opinion about some event or some geopolitical situation or some politically charged topic, to ask yourself, what evidence could change my mind? Because if the answer is there is no evidence that could change my mind about whether horses are better than elephants or insert politically charged topic, then you do not live in a fact-based worldview, right? If you are of the mind that there is nothing that can convince me differently than whatever it is I believe, it's not a great place to be. And you need to answer that question truthfully, whether there could ever be evidence that would be presented to you. And I wanted to tie that into self-education because in the information age as we live, we truly live in a world where you can know virtually anything you want to, right? You can become maybe not an expert, but you can certainly educate yourself on any topic. I always joked during COVID that all of a sudden everyone in America was an epidemiologist. And yet it was the case that if you wanted to learn about the spread of infectious disease, you could. Certainly not replace the years of experience that true experts in the field saw, but you could educate yourself about it. So it's awesome that we live in a world like that, but there is undoubtedly a big catch there that I ultimately want to tie back to the financial world here in a minute. Just give me a few moments, which is there is so much information out there. And let's just even imagine that all of it is correct. We're not even talking about the existence of, fake news, whatever you want to call it, fake facts, whatever it is. Let's imagine that it's all correct too. Even with that, if you go into learning with some type of an agenda, I want to prove to myself that immigration at the southern border is a complete disaster or something along those lines, even using nothing but true information, you can convince yourself of just about anything. So the problem with self-education is not that you can or can't do it. You absolutely can. The problem is that I find most people who self-educate about some topic, the problem is that they only learn as much as they want to, and they rarely learn as much as they need to. And the real challenge about self-educating yourself about something is to go beyond learning what you want to learn about it and to learn everything that you should learn about it. And this ties into the financial world in a very important way, in that as people get closer to retirement or some big event, they often start trying to educate themselves. If they go into that with a preconceived notion, just like when you're self-educating yourself about vaccinations or something along those lines, you can fall into a trap of convincing yourself of whatever it is you want to convince. So we absolutely live in a world where you do not need to work with a financial advisor. Undoubtedly. You go back 30 years ago in like the 90s or the 80s, if you wanted access to decent low-cost investments, you kind of had to work through a financial advisor. It was really like the only way to do it. But now we have pretty good access to good investments, and there's very little information in the world that your average consumer doesn't have access to that I have. I mean, I pay for some various things that, your average person may not be able to get to, but virtually anyone out there can manage their own finances. The problem comes is, are you going to take that necessary step, not to teach yourself what you want to know, but to teach yourself what you need to know, right? And for a lot of people, it's a hobby for them, and it's a healthy pursuit that they learn something that's very interesting. For other folks that are a little daunted by all of the information out there, you shouldn't feel bad. There is so much information. It's extremely difficult for someone to pick through it all. I almost feel like the perfect storm of information was like 10 years ago when There was a little less of it, and it was a little easier to digest, and a few less talking heads, me as one of them, that were kind of trying to put their opinion out there. Nowadays, oh boy, if you want to be convinced that Roth accounts will ruin your life, or that they'll save your financial future, or that variable annuities are the greatest thing since sliced bread, or they'll financially bankrupt you, you can convince yourself of anything you want to. If that task seems daunting, then I think working with a flesh and blood advisor can be very helpful for people. I hope this has caused you to think a little bit, isn't too commercially for you. If you do want to talk, my email is in the description. You can shoot me an email. You can also schedule an appointment there. Send me any questions through email. I can't do comments because of compliance reasons. And I hope this has been helpful. I'll talk to you soon.